Mr. Peter Curran at Blair Academy. He's the Dean of Admissions, Assistant Head of the School for Enrollment and Communications.
The absolute best part of this job, in my opinion, is traveling the world and getting to hang out with you, but traveling the world and meeting really interesting kids and being able to share with them about Blair and saying, oh, you'd be a terrific Blair kid, you gotta come see campus, or having really wonderful kids come to my office and tell me their stories and hearing their stories and sharing my story and Blair's story with them. And I think for that idea exchange to happen, there needs to be fun and joy in the process. And I understand that it's competitive, and that's okay too, but I think if students really look at this and families really look at this as a journey where they learn different things about each other. I always say I'd love to be a fly on the wall when students are driving out of campus, because I think it's great to see is what the students saw and liked the same thing as what the parents saw and liked, and what's that conversation like. And on one little tip I'd say is to parents is don't speak first. Let the students speak first as they leave campus, and because I think it's really important to hear their perspective first, and then mom and dad can share their own. But I think through these, right or wrong, we don't organize our boarding schools so they're really close to one another. So you get a lot of good car time. But hopefully during that car time, if you're not too jet lagged and you're not sleeping, it's an important time to have those conversations, whether they be with you or with the families, about what did they like at the school and what energized them. I say to students quite a bit, there's an art and a science to this process. And I think the science is a lot of the quantitative things that can happen, and you can do a lot of that largely from your own home. Your research, whatever those pieces of data are, how far it is from an airport, what's the size of the school, what's the college matriculation look like, what's the curriculum, what activities do they have, et cetera, et cetera. That can all be found online, but the art is the feel of a campus, it's the vibe, it's the essence, and I will always say to students why it's so critical to visit a school is to figure that out. And when you walk around a campus, looking at the expressions on kids' faces and seeing what that looks like is so critical, I think, to really either energizing you or saying, I don't know if this is the right fit. And I'll say sometimes kids need multiple visits or more data. So it's not, I'll joke with some students and they'll say when they first got to Blair that they knew it was the right school for them, like right when they got out of the car, and I'll be like, no way, that can't be true. But other kids will say, you know what, I really had a good visit, but I had a good visit at 3 or 4 other schools, and then I needed to come back a second time, whether it be for an open house or for revisit day and so on, to really get that feel. So I think understanding that there is obviously an intellectual decision that a family is making, but there's also very much a emotional decision too. If they come in the right frame of mind, and it's okay to be nervous, and it's our job to sort of work through that with you, but if they come in really excited for this process and to look at a school, I think that can hopefully ease the nerves. And you're right, I think as students are looking at the application, that needs to be an extension of the interview. And so it's thinking carefully about what you want to share and what stories that you want to tell, because at the end of the day, going back to your earlier question, we're looking at a lot of data, but we don't know you as well as your parents know you, or as well as you know. So I think students have to be thoughtful about what they want to share in the application, what stories they want to share about themselves in the interview, what teachers they want to write recommendations for them, so that they're putting together this picture, because at the end of the day, they're a 3D person and we're boiling you down on a piece of paper, which is 2D. At Blair, it's a very holistic admission process, and so we're looking at many pieces of data, and it's not just one thing or another that we focus on. But at the end of the day, I'd say the 3 things that we're really looking for are students with who are intellectually curious, having a life of mind, that love to learn for learning's sake and not just for the grade, and that's seen in our society of skeptics. Kids just go because they are really interested in the lectures. We're looking for students who have a passion or who are excited, who are going to engage. We're opening up a brand new Center for Innovation and Collaboration. A new $14 million building is open its doors in September that's going to have fine arts, it's going to have a maker space, it's going to have artificial intelligence and engineering and computer science, and a big open forum for our skeptics program. But why I mention that is because that's a place where our hope is that students' passions and faculty passions will come together and be able to share ideas. And so we really want students to engage. And we can sense that if they're going to be engaged or not. You know, I jokingly say a lot, at Blair, kids think with their feet. And what I mean by that is if a student has a passion or idea and wants to really put it into action, it can happen, whether it be starting a service project. We had a girl who started a community service trip to St. Jude's Hospital in Tennessee to work on a pediatric cancer ward a couple of years ago. And she got 10 students and faculty, and they do it now annually, to another student this year who started the drone club. And it's awesome, and he is passionate, and he has a drone, and there's a couple other kids, and they fly him around campus and take really cool shots. And so that energy and that passion, it doesn't mean you have to be the most outgoing person, but it means that you're excited to share who you are and where you're from with somebody else. And the last thing I'll say is we look for students who are looking to step outside their comfort zone and try something new. So I understand that everybody coming here hasn't had exposure to everything that we offer. And that's great, because we want them to come here and join the crew team. Why not? Like, how neat is that? No idea what crew is, but they have some friends, or they get to know the coach and go for it. Or try taking a new language, or learn how to throw a pot in ceramics. But I think, I always say to students, when they get the butterflies that they get in their stomach, when they're anxious or nervous, at Blair, not only do we encourage that, we celebrate it. And students will see, new students will see seniors who are trying things for the first time, whether it be the quarterback of the football team trying out for the winter musical as late as his senior year. Just why not? And dancing on stage and singing and doing all this wonderful things. But that's what this experience is all about. And we can start to sense that in an interview, in the application, if students are willing to do something new or bring their passion from home to Blair. I'll say to kids, you want this to be a home away from home.
Right.
And you don't want to go to a school where you just will do fine at. You don't want to go to a school where your parents' friend's son goes to school. You don't want to go to a school so that you can put a big sticker on the back of your car that says, you want to go to a school where not only will it feel like home, but where you're going to thrive, where you're going to be a leader among leaders. And I think you have to do your research. You have to envision yourself walking the hallways. That's why when you're visiting a school and you're looking at the expressions on kids' faces, you say, could I be like that? Could that person be a friend of mine? And if you feel that, great. And if you don't feel that, you also have to listen to it. But I think doing your research, because there's a lot of different ways, there's a lot of data out there, but you have to reach out. As you said, that's a very important part of it.
Yes, and revisit.
Oh, huge. If you can make it.
Yes.
Being on a campus as an admitted student is a very different feel from being on a campus as a prospective student. You feel different, and you should. And oftentimes when you're visiting as a prospective student, it's a shorter visit for a tour and or interview. But as an admitted student, you're coming back and you're going to go to classes and you're going to get to see an even more in-depth view. So if you can come back for a revisit, that's a really critical piece to helping make your decision. I wouldn't say don't revisit 5 schools, but don't just revisit one. Revisit a couple if you can, to really help you make that decision. And I think that is really, really important.
Thank you for your time. This is wonderful, very informational and educational. I hope the families would really reach out and get to know Blair before their enjoyable whole process begins, and even after. And this is something that they won't be able to find on the website or through blogs or anywhere out there. So yes, thank you for your time.
Well, you're welcome. It's please come visit. It's an incredible community. It's an incredible place. And thank you, Jeannie, for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit more about Blair, but really this whole process, and have fun with it.